Bass bit number 3, welcome. The bass, how is it built and what are the relationships of strings to each other? We are now in chapter 2, I think. And the pages, I should tell you this, so let me look it up. It is chapter 2, how the bass is organized. And there is quite an extensive explanation about the range of the bass. There is quite a bit of test your understanding questions. They are really fun. They're Twizzlers. So if you think you have a whole handle on that and don't need that chapter, then jump in right there. And if some of those are confusing, then make sure you understand why they are what they are. There's answers to everything. There are answers in the back of the book, in the appendix. So I'm interested in just briefly the range of the bass. It is the lower end of the spectrum, of course, sonically, but the piano beats us by 2 notes. Even my 5-string here with the low B string is not the lowest string of all instruments or the lowest sound of all instruments. Now, the piano is an instrument we play with a lot, so we should know how we fit into that sonic spectrum. And the low A on the piano is, in fact, a whole step lower than my low B. And I want to be the lowest. I can't get over that. So that A is called A0 in the convention I'm using in the book. There are a few, but that's a very commonly used one. So A0, so that makes my B B0. Middle C may be another note you're familiar with on the piano. My middle C is up here. Now, mind you, that's C4. Middle C is C4, so that's C3, C2, and C1, because it's B0 and then C1. So the number switches on the note C every time. Reading-wise, we should know that the bass transposes. It's a transposing instrument when it comes to reading. What that means is that if I read a middle C, I am in fact playing this note, which means it sounds an octave lower than written. That is done this way so that we don't have to deal with a lot of ledger lines. The area sonically where we live would have to be notated with a bunch of ledger lines in order to mark it out. And so the convention is to just port it up an octave and to just say, okay, we know we're an octave lower than that. So as if you would be doubling something with a piano player and the composer would want you to be in the exact same range, the piano score would look differently than your own score because the piano does not transpose by an octave. And they're dealing with all these ledger lines, or maybe with something called AVB, which is another shorthand for saying take it down an octave. But we are always 8VB. And sometimes you see a little bass clef in our score that has a little 8 on the bottom. That's what that is. It says go down an octave. But typically we know that. We don't need anybody to tell us. That was bit 3. Let me know how you're getting on. I love hearing from you. Please send me a comment, send me questions. Thank you so much. Music Theory for the Bass Player. Chapter 2, How Notes Are Organized, a little excerpt.